Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Tittle Tattle Tarot. It's Georgie. And in today's reading, I'm going to use the standard Rider-Waite deck. And we are going to look at Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert. He had bad health throughout his life. Some people say he was a hypochondriac. I don't know whether that's true. We'll have a little look and see what the cards will tell us. But certainly a laundry list of illnesses. And I'm going to try and see if we can get some idea of what actually killed him. It was said that, he was out in the rain. A lot of this was to do with his oldest son, Bertie, the Prince of Wales. They've been in the rain, they've been arguing, and Queen Victoria always blamed Bertie for, her husband's death, for Prince Albert's death, early death. And it was said that, this cold that he got in the rain caused his demise. But I want to see if the cards can give us a little bit more on this. Was it purely, just being out in the rain, getting some kind of bronchial thing that, turned into a fever that killed him? Or was there a lot more to it than that? So we're talking about 1861. He was only 42 when he died. And as I say, had many illnesses throughout his life, and was never really a healthy man. But it is said that he was a hypochondriac. So we'll see what we get. I'm going to pull a Celtic cross, and this is all to do with health, mental, physical health of Prince Albert. And we'll just see what the cards come up with. So I'm going to pull the whole Celtic cross, and then we'll discuss it. Okay, quite dark cards here. So this is the health, the physical health, the mental health of Prince Albert, Queen Victoria's husband, at around, that kind of time, just before 1861 when he passed. So we're trying to get a feel of what his health was like and what could possibly have caused his demise. Let's just go into the middle. You've got the wounded warrior. From a health point of view, well, you've got the bandaged head. They quite often say that with this card, it isn't just battle fatigue. It is, mental health. It's the state of your mind. He was battered down by the years and years he'd had illness, I believe, and I think there was an awful lot of mental stress. I think probably being married to Queen Victoria was not actually a picnic in itself, although, she said that he was the love of her life, and she mourned for him for the rest of her life. I think that being married to her caused him a great deal of mental stress. And there you are, he's got his final wand up against the world. I'm just going to pull that blind down. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's a little bit better. He's got his wand up against the world, trying his last defense. This was a man on his knees, basically, before he died, so battered down with illness. And then we had crossing that, the Four of Swords. There you are, lying down. I mean, the Four of Swords is like the coffin card. This knight isn't actually dead. He's resting, recovering, planning how to go ahead. But, Four of Swords, it's still a very dark card. And in a normal playing pack, this card would represent the passing of someone. So, it's a dark card. It does mean that the energy is so low. The spirit is low. Look at this. It looks like a deceased person. So I just think years, as I say, of ill health, battling his own health, battling with her, because I don't believe that she was an easy person to live with at all, just caused him mental, physical stress and illness. And in the top, in the mind here, we have the Ten of Swords. This is your, horrible card. It is, as it looks, being stabbed in the back, the ultimate betrayal, if you like. And I think each one of these swords are various things that happened to him throughout his life, digestive issues, insomnia, depression, joint pain, all these kind of things, typhoid. It was just one thing after another, after another, after another. And some of these things were made worse by the fact that, one sword will kill you. You don't need 10 to kill you. And I think this is the dramatic, the making everything worse than it actually was. I know he had ill health, I'm sure he did, but I think that he was one of these men that if he had a cold, he had flu, if he was ill, he was dying, so I think that he did play on his ill health as well. And he just saw all these swords coming into his back as his ill health. And I kind of think he focused too much on his health, too much on his ill health. And at the bottom of all this, we've got the Three of Wands. Now, I see this as looking for cures, looking for people that can make him feel better, looking for doctors. The Three of Wands like this is normally your boat coming in. It's your merchant, and he's waiting for his boat to come in with all his luxury goods on it, and it will make him money. And when your ship comes in, that sort of feeling. But I think his ship, it wasn't, he's not a merchant, he's not waiting for goods to come in. I think he's waiting for doctors to sort out his health. I think he's putting trust in the fact that some amazing doctor will come forward and say, you need this panacea, you need this to cure what you have, to cure your insomnia, to cure this terrible digestive problem that you've got. So he's always looking out for someone to make him better. And then we have the Seven of Swords. The Seven of Swords is that sneaky behavior. So I kind of get the feeling that maybe some of the people that he entrusted with his health weren't exactly helping. They probably got paid very well, but they weren't exactly helping him. And it's that kind of energy that, we're getting paid very well for doing this, but we'll just take the money, and what they're offering is not working. I think there was that element in the treatment of sneakiness, of getting away with these treatments that were substandard. They didn't know what they were doing. They pretended that they did this big pretense card, pretended that they knew what they were doing, but they didn't. They didn't know how to treat this man. Had so many illnesses, they couldn't pin it down. They didn't know what to do. So it was that sort of lying card, that deceitful card, because they pretended that they were experts and knew, but they didn't. And so that put everything, the Chariot, on stop. The Chariot, your Greater Arcana card, that's moving forward. This is almost like Victoria, isn't it? Conquering different countries and the empire. It's sort of got that empire feeling about it. He was very much, although it was Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, he was very much wore the trousers. He was very much the man in the chariot. She wouldn't buy a hat without consulting him. So he was really the one in the driver's seat. And, right at the end of his life, I think all that had stopped. He was too ill to drive the country forward, to drive the empire forward. And, everything just stopped. He wasn't able to do it because he was so ill. And the treatment that he was getting was not what it looked like it was not what he thought it would be. So we come up the outside now. So this is the very intimate, the sort of very sort of close health situation here. And then we're coming towards the outside, the more outside influences. His feelings about it all was not a happy home. You know, this way up, they had loads of children. God, so many children. And Victoria had spent most of her married life in labour, having these children. I think they ranged from 4 to 21 by the time Albert died. So, you know, massive amount of children, a huge age span. And, you know, you would think, oh, well, you know, royal family, all that money, it's going to be very sort of 10 of cups, got everything. But he didn't feel like that. His family wasn't bringing him joy. Let's put it like that. The worry of his family, the worry of this this energy here, this 9 of wands energy with Victoria, making him a wounded warrior. You know, oh, she does my head in. She does my head in. I think so. That's what he would say now if he was alive. Oh, bloody woman, she does my head in. So, you know, it wasn't a happy home, and she greatly mourned him throughout her life as the great love of her life. But I kind of wonder from this whether the love was very much from her to him. I think he loved her, but I think the love was stronger from her to him than it was from him to her. So that's the impression that I'm getting there. What did sort of the courtiers, the people around him see? This is the greedy miser card. Now, I don't know whether he was greedy with his money, whether he was a miser, I don't know. And we're not talking about money, we're talking about health. So I see this as someone who's desperately holding things close to him. I see this as trying to hold on to your position, trying to hold on to your power. So I'm seeing pentacles here, rather than being money, as being power. This man is ill, but he's trying desperately to keep control. Victoria couldn't make decisions. She put everything onto him. So I think that, you know, it was very important for him to keep that power, keep that control. And that's what people saw, that even, you know, as his health declined, he was still desperate to be in control her, control situations. And then we have the 8 of coins here, 8 of pentacles. This is your working card. I mean, it's easy to look at, say, a prince, Prince Albert, and think, oh, well, they didn't really work. You know, they were just royalty. They didn't really work. He did work because he had to work. He had to work for Victoria in a way, because she was so dependent on him that many of the decisions for the country, they came down to him, and he was toiling away. He was doing her job. In a lot of cases, he was putting in the hours, he was doing her work. So I don't think that being Prince Albert was a very easy thing to do. He loved the control, but in a way he'd made a cross for his own back, because he made her so dependent on him. You know, all these pregnancies, one after the other. She's so busy, so exhausted having children, totally exhausted with the act of childbirth, and not really enjoying it at all. She hated all of that he, you know, got to be such a powerful figure, and loved that. But equally, it's caused this wounded warrior. So, you know, the overwork of it, which was self-inflicted, because he made himself so indispensable. I think that is this card, this workaholic card. He's indispensable now, and when he passes, she can't cope at all. And we've got the moving on card. I mean, I am seeing that as him moving on, leaving this world and moving on, leaving his cups behind, his family behind, and moving off. Although that is not traditionally what that means, but in this spread, that's the way I'm seeing it. Him moving on, him leaving, him going. That doesn't answer the question about specifically what caused his death. Now, it's always been said that this walk and talk in the rain with his son, Bertie, the Prince of Wales, they had a difficult relationship. He didn't approve of Bertie at all, thought that he was basically delinquent, too much sex, too much smoking, too much drinking, very much disapproved of Bertie, and that the stress of that and getting wet in the rain, you know, caused an early death. Is that so? Is that so? Death. There we are. We've got the death card. So yes, I mean, he died. He died of complications from that, definitely. You know, it didn't help. He had poor health, and his death was caused, you know, because he was so under the weather. He was not a well man. So I don't think that being out in the rain, you know, and arguing and having this very tempestuous sort of relationship with his son, none of that helped. It all speeded his death. But was it the actual cause? So we look at the death now. Was it the cause of the death? So I want to know, was it more to do with like the bowel? The bowel. He had terrible, and sorry to say this, terrible diarrhea, terrible digestive problems. I mean, absolutely dreadful in those last, you know, last few days, but it had followed him through life, you know, these bowel problems. Was it something to do with something like a perforated bowel? Was it something like that? Well, we've got the nostalgia card here. So nostalgia, looking back on how things were. Can you look back and say, you know, well, my health used to be, I used to be healthy. I used to be really good. When I was young, before I got married, I was healthy. So is this stress that's caused this? Because before I got married, this is like looking back at your childhood, your youth, you know, the happy times, the happy times. There's certainly no bowel problem here. There's no stress here. This is the happiness. So was it the stress of the marriage, his marriage to Victoria, the way that she was, the actual responsibility that he brought on himself? He made himself indispensable. Was it that caused like sort of bowel trouble, perforated bowel, ulcerated bowel, all that kind of side of things? Is that what it was? Wheel of Fortune in reverse. I think it probably was. I think the stress of it, I can just feel the energy of how difficult this woman was. And, you know, she purported to love him very much, but she made life hard for him. And he was no saint. He was no saint at all. Yeah. And I think this Wheel of Fortune in reverse, he remembered back to before he had any ties of marriage, his health being good, you know, not being this man who's forever getting these tens of swords in him, all these illnesses, all this sort of lying down, trying to recover from being ill. He was not like that. He was, you know, Six of Cups, you know, good, happy, you know, good times in his youth. But the stress of being married to her, being Prince Albert, the Wheel of Fortune turned. So I'm really interested to know, was it something like Crohn's? Was it a form of like Crohn's disease that he had? Was it something like Crohn's? Go in there. Was it like a Crohn's disease? He'd been fighting this one, get a lot of swords energy. He'd been fighting this for a long time. Swords are also that sort of medical operation card. I don't know whether he ever actually went under the knife at all, whether he did or not, but it is that kind of medical card. But he'd been fighting this with his bowel for a long time. And it caused him a lot of grief. It caused him a lot of trouble, a lot of upset. It was a constant battle. And whenever he felt that he was winning the battle, it would come back. So, Crohn's. Was it Crohn's? Was it something like Crohn's? Was it something like Crohn's disease that he actually had? The devil. I just think too much stress. You can't say with Prince Albert that there was too much, it's not that sort of devilish, too much drinking, too much, indulgence, because he wasn't. They were like so strict in their lives, didn't do anything that was in any way frivolous, like over drinking or smoking, or nothing like that. Very, very sort of not teetotal, but very sort of straight people, especially Prince Albert. So, but I see this devil as just being the situation he created for himself. And yeah, I think that this, with the red belly on the devil, the way that the devil is something you get yourself chained into something. And again, I just see this as being, he created this himself because he made himself so indispensable. He caused this because she couldn't, as I say, she couldn't do anything without consulting him, literally. And this is why she fell apart when he died, because she didn't know how to do anything. So let's just get right into the middle of this situation. The high priestess and judgment in reverse. So the high priestess, these are the secrets that you hold close to your chest. These are the things that happen that you don't share. Right or wrong, you keep things to yourself. So I think that after he passed, there were things about her relationship with him that she never shared. And I think that there was grief and there was anger. There were all these different emotions that the high priestess, this figure here, kept so close to herself. And she couldn't reconcile her feelings. And I think that's why, she spiraled, and she couldn't get over the grief of losing him. And it all seemed like exactly the wrong judgment. This should not have happened. This is just totally unfair. He shouldn't have been taken. Of course, that's what she felt. I'm going right to the underneath. King of Swords. Well, he always spoke the truth. He was a very honest man, a very sort of, she trusted him totally. And I think this was the problem. Whatever he said to do, she did. And with his words gone, with this figure of trust gone, she basically fell apart. I see this, it was a lot of things. Queen Victoria blamed Bertie for this incident in the rain, for causing his demise, because he had a fever and he'd been out in the rain arguing with Bertie, Prince of Wales, and she never ever forgave her eldest son. It didn't help. But this man was incredibly ill throughout his life, real and imagined, emotional and physical. And it was just all like adding up. It was all one thing after another. And he made himself so indispensable. He put himself in the devil's position because he chained himself. And when you make yourself so indispensable, nobody can do what you can do, then all the weight of the world comes onto you. And I think that was basically his demise. Everything all came up at once. The devil, everything came together into this boiling pot of all those different illnesses, the digestive issues, the stress, the insomnia. He'd had measles and depression and joint pain. And then the icing on the cake is this going out into the rain and fighting with his son. So I don't think Bertie was to blame. And I think Queen Victoria just wanted a scapegoat, someone to blame for her husband's death. But he was a sickly man, and I don't think that his mental attitude helped at all. I think that he made he made things worse by what was going on in his head and his unhappiness, basically, his unhappiness with her. And as I say, I think that she probably loved him more than he really loved her. I don't know what you think of that reading. Let me know what you know about Prince Albert's health. I don't know anything else. I'm not a historian. I'm a tarot reader, and that's the energy that I'm getting from this. So if you know anything more about his health, or you can add anything, I'd love to hear. Take care. Till next time. Bye-bye.